Hey you guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Shamira. If you are new to my channel, in this video I'm just going to be explaining how I became a medical coder, sharing my journey along the way. I do have two other videos that I've shared in my community tab that I've done a few years ago, but I feel like this type of video I could probably do quarterly and it'll still reach new viewers and someone can learn from my journey. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit more detailed too. So I have some notes here that I wrote. I'm a writer. I love writing. I don't know why. Sometimes my husband's like, "You wrote all that?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I did." So starting back in 2011, I was 17 years old and I got hired at a regular hospital in my area in the food service department as a tray service worker. Okay, and I feel like I have to go all the way back there because I still work for this same hospital in a way. So it only makes sense that you learn my journey throughout. So 17 years old, I was hired as a tray service worker. Funny story, I feel like I got this job, and jobs like this, it's kind of like you have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, because sometimes it's hard to get into these hospitals, right? So I pretty much was born into food service because my mom and my dad both worked in food service, and out popped me. So the supervisor at the time when I applied, he knew my parents. So it was like, okay, yeah, come on in. So tray service was my title. Actually, I think my title at the time was like tray service worker. And what that is you are working in the kitchen, and there's patients that are staying in the hospital. Well, they need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So who's bringing them the food? Well, the people that work in food service. So we would have various duties, nothing to do with coding at all, okay? We were running something that was called like a mini quick, where the food goes around this table, this electronic table, and the trays are put into a truck and delivered up to the floors, and then the nurses usually distribute the trays. So we had other duties like having to wash the trucks, having to deliver late trays, having to stock the mini quick. So yeah, just nothing to do with coding at all. I had no idea I would end up where I am today. And even in my like yearly, what are they called? Like a yearly review. If I were asked, I probably would have said, maybe be some type of team lead here in food service. That's where I see myself in 5 years. In 5 years, I was nowhere in food service. So that is what I did up until 2012, 2013, a little bit, because there was another position in food service that I wanted, and that was working in the diet office. So now I no longer had to do the hard work. I no longer had to do the hard labor. Now my job is I get to sit in an office. Now I'm calling the patients for their meals. So what do you want for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And that way the people that work in tray service, they know now what is on your menu, and they do that process to getting it to you. So I had the easy part where I'm just taking orders. And customer service, it can be a little challenging, but it can be fun at the same time. I was so happy. I was probably only like 18, 19 at the time. So I was just like, yeah, how can I help you today? Yes, what would you like? And some people were ready, some people weren't ready. Some people had a problem with why they can't have a regular diet when this is the stuff that they eat outside in the real world, but their doctor said that they needed to eat this specific diet, and they put this specific order in, and we have no control over it. So then sometimes they want to hang up the phone on us because they're mad because they can't get a Philly cheesesteak because of the diet that they're on. So yeah, some of them were fun, and it's just like, okay, well, next caller. Okay, so that was up until 2013 is when I believe I left. I'm trying to think of this timeline. No, I left 2014. And the reason why I left in 2014, so now I was in food service for 3 years, no medical coding background. I was not going to school for medical coding. I had no idea. So 2014, I give birth to my first son, and both of those jobs that I worked were part-time because the first one I was still in high school, so I couldn't have been working full-time at 17. And then once I graduated, I still was working in tray service, and then I moved over to the diet office. So now 20. I'm 20 now, and I give birth to my son. And now I'm starting to look on our website for other positions within my healthcare organization, and I see data entry, and I'm like, data entry, that seems easy. That seems like another desk job, and why not? So that one was full time, and all it said was you needed to be familiar with Excel, computer skills, and regular office stuff, running a fax printer, copier, how to do all that stuff. I know how to do all that stuff. Okay, so they had this typing test to see how well you did with numbers. You guys, I aced that. I was in there. Well, I did it currently, like in my current job. I was sitting at my desk for the diet office, and I was applying for this job, and I was doing that little test that they had me do. Passed it with flying colors. You guys, I got the position. So now I'm transferring to a new building, but we still work in code for the same hospital. And I'm doing data entry. So what that consists of is we received spreadsheets back then, Excel spreadsheets, and the coder would write all the patient's information. So their name, their MRN, maybe even their insurance, I think, and the date of service, and then the ICD-10 and the CPT code. When I got there in 2014, they had switched, not my office, but like I guess coding had switched from ICD-9 to ICD-10. So I didn't even have to learn ICD-9. You guys that are new probably have no idea what ICD-9 is, but it's just a different set of codes that were used for the diagnoses and like the disease and stuff like that. And they had like I think they had like more alphabetic letters than numbers back then. So when I did decide to study for it, I didn't even have to learn or decipher between the two. Like I was just straight ICD-10, and that was so easy for me. A lot of the coders, when I would sit in like meetings as data entry, they would say like how they were struggling with trying to understand ICD-10 because they're so used to ICD-9, and I didn't even have to do that. I was just thinking like, thank God, I'm just ICD-10 over here. I don't have to learn nothing about ICD-9. So, yeah, and when I got there, I would like see the coders, watch them do what they did. They had these thick books, and I was just like, no way. No way am I doing that. Okay? I'll keep that for y'all. Y'all just keep sending me what I need to do, and I'll enter it into the system for you, but absolutely not as if they're sitting here reading these like they're actual fiction books or something like that. No, these are your tools to help you. So it is intimidating at first, but don't let it intimidate you too much to where you feel like you cannot do that at all, because I'm sure you can. Look at me. Still no course that I've taken, still no training that I've taken. I'm just data entry. Okay, so let me see, where am I at now? Okay, so like I said, my role was just to do data entry. And then something happened. I think it was like in 2015 where we had to like change our title from data entry to billing insurance clerk. And just that name change bumped us up like a $3 raise. And I was just like, oh, absolutely, I'll take it. And nothing changed. I was not having to deal with customer service. I was not having to deal with insurance. I was still doing data entry and getting the information from the spreadsheets that the coders provided. So in 2015, after I'm there for a year, I start growing and gaining relationships with the coders, and they're just like, you should go for it. You should go for it. They were so encouraging. And I was just like, I don't know. It's like, okay, fine. I'll try. And there was another data entry clerk that was there, and she just told me like how she just kept going and going and going, and it just wasn't like she couldn't pass it. And I was just like, really? So she was giving me some of her little videos that she was watching, and she put me on to, what was their name? Medical Coding Cert. They still have a YouTube channel, and they still have all those videos from 12 years ago. So you can go on their channel and watch those, even though I think some of it is ICD-9 and not a lot of ICD-10. So yeah, that might be a struggle. Also, Code Master Coach, those two were my go-to when I decided to start learning. And they were pretty much my teachers, my instructors that I went to when I was trying to prepare myself for the exam. I did not go to school. I did not take any courses. I had YouTube. I did practice exams. So you have to become a member of the association. I think that is what it is. That's the right term. So you could either choose like a HEMA or you can go with the AAPC to get certified. And I went through AAPC. So I had to pay the membership fee. It's like a yearly fee. And then you can get discounts on your practice exams, and you can buy courses if you want to. I seen that their actual CPC course, I think it was like an online course, was like $2,000 or $3,000. I'm 20 years old. I don't have, $2,000, $3,000 and a baby to just throw into something. So I'm going to try and do this on my own, and that's what I did. So I did purchase practice exams, which were like 30 to 60 some dollars, and I just used those to study. And some of the practice exams that I found would have rationale. What's rationale? That's basically explaining to you why this is the right answer. So I would use that to help me. And then I stumbled across Amazon Kindle, I think, because I would just Google like CPC practice exams, and I seen Amazon had some. Well, I had Amazon Kindle. So because I had Amazon Kindle Unlimited, I got to get all those practice exams for free. And I sure did. I would download them to my little iPad I had, and I would just sit there and study, reading questions. And I will say it's not the best thing to do, is just going by your multiple choice and then using your CPT book and then trying to find the answer that way. Because I didn't take anatomy and physiology, I think. I didn't take any type of anatomy course. I did not. So some of the information, it was just like reading Chinese because I had no idea what was going on, and I don't recommend it. Like I said, I was 20 years old. When you're 20, you pretty much have like this YOLO or mindset, and you just go for whatever you want to go for. And I did. What I wasn't doing, well, I probably did, but I didn't realize how important it was having time management. So time yourself when you are taking practice exams, and make sure that you are answering these questions quickly. And what I didn't have, which I would highly, 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 highly recommend, is that you guys get, I'm going to put a picture of it on the screen, is, what is it called? It's like the 2024, I was looking it up yesterday. Okay, yes, it is the 2024 Coder's Desk Reference Procedures. You guys, if you are going to do this on your own, you need to have this manual. This manual basically breaks down all the CPT codes, and it gives you more than the little blurb that you see in on a practice exam, or no, in your CPT book. So in your CPT book, if you look at a code, let's say like NST, for some reason, the 59025, I know that's just going to say a fetal non-stress test. Well, what is that? What is the provider doing? In this desk reference manual, it describes what the provider would be doing, the reason for it. So it's kind of like my OBGYN coding companion. And inside, let me give you an example. Okay. For 58661, the code is up here, the code. You see the description for it, which is like one sentence, excuse my nail polish. But then look at the description in detail, explaining what it is. If you're doing this on your own, get yourself a coding companion, and I prefer it be the 2024, whichever year, current year it is, because this video will be helpful in 2025, 2026, whatever. So look for the Coder's Desk Reference Procedure Manual and get it, because you are going to need the explanation of these surgeries, so that way it's not like you have no idea what is going on. You don't know when the surgery is changing from one surgery to another surgery, and because you're billing two at the same time. So get you one of those. I wish I had something like that. When I was studying, I didn't even know that they existed. They exist. I had to pause it really quickly to tell you guys, they don't even let you take these coding companions with you for your CPC exam. You want to know why? Because you pretty much have the answers right there in front of you. Your documentation should match up with what they have in the coding companion. So they're not going to want you to take something like this on the exam because they're expecting you to know how to read this documentation as if you were a doctor and know how to code it correctly. So definitely get this manual. So, yes. Again, I was just doing practice exams, and then I felt like at a point, like, okay, I'm ready. And like I said, it was 2015, around Christmas time was when I started studying. So in February, I think 2016, I'm still 20 because I think by that year I would have been 21 in May. So I sit for my exam, and I failed. But I didn't fail by a lot, and I had to guess on 30 questions. The instructor that was there, she let me just bubble in the rest of my test. And I don't think a lot of instructors are supposed to do that or allow you to do that, but she did. And I just bubbled them all in. And I feel like doing that is what made me fail it, because I failed and I think I had like a 64 or a 66%. You guys, you needed a 70% to pass. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that didn't even discourage me because I did it. I did it all on my own. And I took it again, I think in 2 months later. So I think it was like March, April. I think it was April. I sat for it because you do get 2 attempts, and I passed. I was just like, oh my gosh, I passed, I did it. So now, since I'm already working in data entry, now all I have to do is apply for a coding position within my same department, because I'm already, working in the coding field per se. My supervisors and managers, they encourage us as data entry to go for it, so that way we can become coders. So what did I do? I applied, and I think I applied in May, I think, but I didn't start until June, and I got my first coding job as a coder one. So I was only coding E&Ms, and I got in, y'all, and I didn't even know what I was doing. My camera cut out. So I was saying, like, what was I saying? Oh, I think I said I didn't know what I was doing when I first got into my coding position, but they trained me, they showed me the ropes, and I felt like I still needed to, do a bit more on my end. And because what they're training you to do is basically they're training your job. They're not teaching you the foundations of coding, what coding is. They're not going into details of that. They're just showing you what to do in the system and how to level out an E&M. But they're not teaching me what medical coding is. So I did take like a short AAPC, evaluation and management course, just to get a better understanding. And I still didn't go to school. I still didn't pay $2,000, $3,000, $1,000, and I just grew along the way. And then once I was ready to become a coder 2, which is now you're coding E&M and surgeries and procedures using your CPT books, I did take an OBGYN course through the AAPC. That helped me a lot. And well, before even doing that, I did apply to like other or apply for other coder 2 positions, and I didn't get them because I feel like that is when I realized like seniority in the workplace. So when you come in and you have other coders that have already been there, and you guys are all applying for like the same coder 2 jobs, of course they're going to give it to the ones that were already there before me. But it still hurt, and I didn't realize that until I actually sat with myself and realized, like, okay, yeah, that makes total sense why I wouldn't get it. But it was okay, because the one that was meant for me was meant for me, and that was OBGYN, and I've been doing it ever since, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, that's my story. That's how I got here. I hope that it can encourage you to go for it, because it's possible. But yeah, that's it. That's my journey. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I will see you all in my next one. Bye, guys.